Good morning, guys. How are we doing? Welcome back to the shed. Um, Nothing in the stand today. I did work on a friend's bike yesterday for him. It was a really nice, cool retro specialised hard rock alloy. The very first year, I think it's 2014-ish, might be older than that. That he had. They came with hydraulic discs as standard. Really nice bike. And it reminded me that I've got to reintroduce you guys to my whole fleet of two that are mine at the moment. So you've seen the TCR, and you guys who were with me on the Dorset Mamil remember me doing a vlog on finding and buying back my actual bike I raced. Well, the frame anyway. So what I want to do now is take you over that and show you where I'm at with that. Let's get over there. Right then, guys. So here she is, all built up. So I'm going to take you through very quickly a little bit of the history of these, and what makes them different to an alloy bike, and why they are allowed to use the word ceramic written on the bottom here, which I will show you. And anyone who's clever and looking to be able to set these things up, you'll be able to run the numbers on one of these frames and it'll tell you exactly what ceramic particles they've used with the alloy. What I can tell you is these were meant to be like the answer to high-end aluminium frames from specialised point of view. The idea was that at the time, all the other competitors like Yeti, Manitou, you had the Salsa homebrews, all these kind of guys, they were using the high-end Eastern triple button alloy. What it meant was that other than the shapes of the frames, a lot of the high-end bikes were very similar and would kind of be very close in weight. And a lot of those guys as well, you would have them in polished alloy and then just clear anodized, and that was purely to try and, because it was a race game against weight back in the 90s, who could have the lightest cross-country mountain bike. So Specialized moved up the game. They wanted to keep it in-house. This was a time when actually this handmade in America meant this was actually handmade in America. The tubes, I believe, were the ceramic tubes come from an American company. There were other different companies playing around with ceramics at the time. What it basically means is that these tubes could be made a lot thinner and it didn't have to butt them. So when you start welding frames that are alloy, you have to have a lot thicker alloy up here to handle the heat and the damage that can be caused by welding. Now with these tubes, they're actually a plain gauge all the way through. One, you can save a bit of light because you don't need the thicker alloy where the weld is. But two, the other issue is these were notoriously tough to work on. Even when you're building the tubes and you're kind of getting all the shapes, it would blunt the tools, and the tools couldn't be sharpened because they found if they sharpened the tools, it wouldn't even get halfway through cutting the next tube, as they were kind of putting it all together. So these actually become really high cost to produce, and it's all down to the hardness of the alloy and the ceramic mix. So it's a shame, really. They kind of killed themselves off because of their price of production. One of these costs a lot more to make way more to make than a modern day high-end S-Works. And it's down to the labour intensive hours and the tooling and everything that went into these to make them. I believe as well the welders used to have to weld in like inert atmospheres. I'm not sure what gas they would weld in. I don't know if they had to, I can't remember if I read they had to weld in a nitrogen rich environment but then have oxygen supplies to the welders to get the burn. My brain is picking right back to the 90s, and my brain ain't the best at going back in history, but certain things I can remember. I can also remember them talking about the ceramic particles could be poisonous if breathed in as well. So it's probably handy that they were welded with the welders all in suits. As I believe there was another company that made natural metal frames that looked very similar to the coating on the RockShox here, the gold coating, and I think it was bohrium. I think they were a metal matrix bohrium tube. Very interesting to look into. Read into if you Google the history of the M2s, I'm sure there's still loads of stuff on there because it is interesting to read. And it was just before carbon was introduced to the scene and people were moving on with metal technology. In fact, I'm not sure if it's called metallurgy. I don't know, I might be talking out, that might be a word I've just made, but I'm pretty sure there's a form of person that looks into different metal composites and creations. Metallurgists? I don't know. That might just be my brain going nuts. Anyway, we're going to turn you around and take you through the bike and show you how I built her. Right then, so start at the top. So, at the top we do actually have some quite nice stuff. So we've got the USE stem here, that's Ultimate Sports Engineering, so that's the British company. I actually had this, some of these parts were I bought from my Bowman. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a shout out to Hope on the headset. Beautiful out front computer for my light and everything. That's from Prime. So that's Wiggle brand's chain reaction brand, and it is really, really nice and a hell of a lot cheaper than a K-Edge or anyone like that. The bars, I haven't got a clue where they're from. They are from a company that say they're UK on Amazon, so they're just Chinese imports. But they're 6061's bars. They're not overly wide because I knew I was going with a longer stem because I had this used stem and it had to be used. I've got some nice grippy Fabrique kind of Allen bolt on grips. Now, I managed to get off of a friend some hardly used Shimano Dual V brakes. As I said to you guys, I really wanted to go the XTR route or XT route minimum, but you know, look, these are in really, really good nick. And if I go down, you know, they're really good. They suit the bike. They're roughly this era, and so yeah, they went on and they work fantastic, and they still work brilliant now. I've got the red cables here are actually Jaguar fully sealed cables, so they are actually fully sealed from in here all the way through to the hanger, where they're sealed up at the hanger, and then they're sealed right into down here. So let's go back to the front, so we don't want to get too far ahead of the game. We've got a nice set of RockShox Judies here. These are hydrocoil ones, so these are sprung with a nice enduro damper in there. So we've got the old enduro within, so slightly better seals and a few bits and bobs going on. These were colour coded by a local mechanic who, he was the guy who had the bike hung up in the shop, and I was like, my god, Jace, that's my old bike. And he was like, yeah, it certainly is. And I brought it back. We have here a nice set of meaty, right back from the 90s again, WTB Velociraptors. They say they're only a 2.1, but they seem ginormous on these little 26 wheels. These are brand new from Wiggle, £11. Old stock. I don't know if they're new old stock or if that's just what WTB charged for them. So wheels, I ended up with a set of really nice Shimano Dual LX wheels. In this nice ceramic kind of finish, which, you know, it looks really nice on here. These are built up with some real chunky, these are double butter spokes, but my days, they are a big gauge. Going into some brass nipples on some big heavy Shimano D521s. These are sup welded rims, and they are really not a lightweight option. However, they were from a friend's. They've been sat there. There's hardly any wear on the rims. These are going to last the whole length of what I ever need from this bike. If we go back, having a look at the frame as we go, up here you'll see, like I was saying, all the handmade in the US of A. Let's go back down. And we've got the metal matrix, and this is the composite here. Anyone who wants to have a look into it, that is, if you look into all these letters here, you'll be able to find out exactly what this bike's made of. So UCI rings, Specialized are allowed to use them because the owner of Specialized had won lots of cross country races and events, so he knew what he was doing. We have on top my Specialized Arc saddle, which I think goes nicely with the Specialized. Again, seat posts, nothing special, Amazon special, but I do have a very nice Salsa seat clamp on there. Again, a shout out to an older brand. That is my amazing Garmin radar mount made by Ryan, which I still absolutely love. Coming down, I have a 3-speed Shimano Dual Mega 9. on a more modern Shimano Dual 2x, but at the top I'm still running 3x shifters. However, it all seems to work pretty fine. Occasionally it may drop the chain because when it does release the tension, it really pings back into place and yanks that across. But it's not a biggie. Going back, the oldest bit on the bike, or the most worn bit on the bike, other than the frame itself, is a Shimano Dual LX 8-speed rear mech, which works absolutely fantastic with a nice modern day Shimano. Oh no, that's a Sunrace. I think I ended up buying a Sunrace. I think that's just like an 11 to 30. I can't remember what I bought now. I know 11 to 28 rear cassette. But when you've only got on the front little diddy rings, it's still way below 1:1 ratio and perfect fun for off-road with the girls. At the back, there we go, there's the Shimano Dual V brakes, again in fantastic condition. They do work really, really well. I've taken the bike out a few times and they've not wanted for anything. And then again on the back, this is quite cool, look. So these wheels were originally hand-built pro wheels by Raleigh in the UK. Anyone who knows their history will know that Raleigh used to have a really, really big following for hand-built wheels. And like I said, these are going to last years. And do you know what? I've got a feeling, looking at those nipples, they're not brass. They look stainless. I don't even know if that was a thing back then. I can't remember. But chunky rims. They are proper heavy-duty rims. I'm not sure Steve Pete, actually. Steve Pete, a few others, a few of the downhill guys. I'm not sure if actually the D521s were... I think they were actually created full of that for downhiller. Again, something that I've forgotten my history on, which is a shame, because I used to be really good at MTB history. So there she is, guys. My Specialized Stumpjumper Pro, back from the 90s, back built. Okay, she's not built out of all the best things on the market, but you know, for what I need, which is going out with the girls, having a bit of fun, maybe going up and meeting some guys when we're allowed in the New Forest and hitting some trails up there, should be perfect. If one of you guys said, Jace, let's go to Bike Park Wales and hit the big runs, you know, she ain't going to cope with that, and neither am I. You know, my skills are still set back from when these bikes were new, and they were quite good skills for their day, but they're not in the same, you know, they're not the same capacity as the modern guys doing the downhill events. You know, there's extreme and there's modern day extreme. Back in the day, I was a cross-country racer who did do the odd, like the Melbourne Classics downhill event. There was a brilliant fun event at Devil's Dyke down in, where was that? South of Surrey way, Brighton way, I can't remember what it was now. But I can remember the event, really good fun. Stuff like that I used to love doing, and I was able to do. And I could, you know, go down quite steep stuff back then, quite happy on this style bike, which nowadays, if you put a modern downhill ride on one of these and sent them over the edge or something, they'd crap themselves because they really are not that great for it. But it will do what I need. So guys, thank you again for coming back. Thank you to all my new subscribers. It's really kind of people to start sharing me as well. I'd like to put a call out to another vlogger actually, Mr. McNutt. You know, he's been through the wars, that gentleman, and it's so nice to see Duncan's now got all the wires taken out of his arms, and I hope he can heal a lot quicker. And I want to put a call out to some of my viewers on it. I know for a fact there's at least 5 guys on here, and I think about another 2 guys with partners who are currently laid up at home with COVID. Guys, please take care of yourselves. Please don't rush back out on your bike. There's a lot of bad talk at the moment about people rushing out to get fit again and then actually bringing on long COVID kind of symptoms themselves. So I want you all to look after yourself, because I want to be able to get out and ride with you when we meet in person and let us all be nice and healthy and get through this weird time together. So guys, look after yourselves and catch you all soon.